From Louisville, Kentucky. We're running a little bit late. Got off work late, it's raining. But we're ready to go. Isn't that right, Sticker Kid?
Uh-huh.
Alright, good. Boy, that's a nice little hat you got there. Does it light up?
I don't know.
There is a way to light it up, but you have to press something inside. Alright, we're going to talk about a few things before I get to my butcher cover I sold.
It's working.
Alright, good job.
Found a button.
Got another Beatles collection DC 13 coming next week from 1978. The best pressing to get from the UK. This is just an empty, nice box, but I made a deal on a 1978. I asked him what the date was on an inner sleeve, and he said 0678, and I bought it right away.
Wolfie Baby said, "Good evening, Frank, Sticker Kid."
Hi.
Hi, Wolfie Baby. Can you say Wolfie Baby?
Wolfie Baby.
All right, that's pretty good.
You want to wipe
You got to project with your voice.
Don't be eating on like.
Talk about Beatles box sets. I got this singles collection in. This is the later version. It's got the blue insert and picture sleeve, or the picture disc, the very first picture disc that was released in the United Kingdom in 1982 of Love Me Do, with P.S. I Love You on the B-side. They put it in these heavy plastic sleeves that aren't the best to preserve records in. Pretty nice. I've had a whole set of these picture discs from the 80s from the United Kingdom about 5 times. They always sell pretty quick. These are all in excellent condition, hardly been played. You got Love Me Do, Please Please Me, that's a nice cover. From Me to You, She Loves You, one of my favorite Beatles songs. But I forgot to mention I Want to Hold Your Hand. That's what hit me first out of any Beatles song. Still gives me a rush every time I hear the Meet the Beatles stereo version of I Want to Hold Your Hand with the reverb. Can't Buy Me Love. This song was #1 before it was ever even issued to the stores. They had so many pre-orders on that record. Ticket to Ride. I think Hard Day's Night's out of order. Should be up to Help now. I Feel Fine. Back with a great Paul song, She's a Woman. Day Tripper, We Can Work It Out. Probably my favorite A and B side, double-sided single there is, besides Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane. Come on, Sticker Kid. Get with it.
You want a Hershey?
No, not right now. You can have it. Paperback Rider and Rain, another great two-sided song. There's a Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane. Yellow Submarine. It's not one of my favorite tracks. It was at one time, but I guess I got burned out on it. All You Need Is Love. Sounds great in the new remix 2023 version, red and blue. Hello, Goodbye. Lady Madonna. Hey Jude. Back with Revolution, Get Back. One of my favorite Beatles songs. The single version. Ballad of John and Yoko. Love this song. Paul and John's last time head-to-head recording in the studio. Something Come Together. Another great A, B side. Let It Be. And these had the bonus. Sgt. Pepper. Yesterday, that had never been released in the United Kingdom. Back in the USSR. And the movie medley was the last one. This is the 1982 version of the box set. All right, let's talk about my anthology promo kit. Got a lot of views on the short on that.
Mr. Cameraman.
What? You got a joke, Sticker Kid, before I go on?
I miss being in the videos.
What do you mean, miss being in videos? You're in all the live streams.
I like being in live streams, but I want to be in videos.
Well,
Well, we don't make as many videos as we do live streams now.
I want to be in shorts.
Well, we'll do that. You're in the school during the week. I only see you on the weekends, Sticker Kid.
Can I be in every single short?
Every single short. Are you gonna fly it in
I don't
from
know.
the other side of town?
I'm not Spider-Man. I did that.
This is the, you have a joke before I go on?
No.
Not right now. Well, if you think of one, let me know. This is the complete Beatles anthology promo kit that was sent to retail stores in 1996. Promoting the anthology. The music's just half the story. I think music's more than half the story, but that's what they said. Because this was all about the video. This is complete. You see how it looks like a box of old Beatle albums from the USA and a few UK mixed in. They just took, somebody put their collection together and they just took a picture of all four sides. Gotta let it be on the back there. But it's got the binder inside. Carefully take it out here. Got a sealed sneak preview VHS tape that they played in the stores. I think it was only about 45 minutes long with the highlights of the video series. It doesn't say how long it is, but it's sealed. Says that the pre-order date was 8/8/96. But the binder is full with all the promo material for the anthology video series that came out. The 8 video, I have a sealed 8 video box set of it. But there's a lot of those still left. Got pictures from the Beatles' career, and it's even got advertising the laser disc that's coming out in July of 1996. Pretty complete. It's up for sale on my eBay store at $199.
Alright, Sticker Kid, Chris W's got one for you. How much does Santa pay to park his sleigh?
How much does Santa pay to park his sleigh?
Think of the joke. I'm tired.
Nothing, it's on the house.
It's on the house, nothing. That's pretty
I don't
good.
get it.
Merry Christmas, sticker favorites.
I don't get
Santa's on top of the
It's
house.
on the house, so that,
It's on the house. You get it?
it. No.
like, when you go to some places and you get charged on the house, that means they're paying for it all.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Quit eating.
This is the, in the 1980s, they put a UK box set out called Baby It's You, promoting the CD single on Apple of Baby It's You, and it had other unreleased BBC tracks on it. I'll Follow the Sun, Devil in Her Heart, and Boys. There's the Beatles in front of them. BBC, British Broadcasting Studios, where they recorded all these live tracks. This is a great booklet, about a 30-page booklet showing pictures of the Beatles performing at the BBC, performing and relaxing. Got Mel Evans up there with John Lennon. You know that a John Lennon autograph's worth about $3,000 and a Mel Evans autograph's worth about, not much over $100. So
I thought it was $1 million.
you can tell who was out of this pair who was really the creative genius. don't want to cause any controversy or nothing, but
Huh? I want to hear.
you want to.
I do.
Anyway, that's a real nice booklet with great photos of the Beatles playing around and recording. There's George with the girls, and Paul's getting upset behind him. And then the next picture, it's got all 4 Beatles with the same girls. And then a picture without the girls.
Do you like my hat?
Yeah, I like your hat.
It is still glowing.
Yep.
This pie is making.
I sold the other, the original Beatles 64 record player. This is a symphonic from about the same time period. That's who made the Beatles record player, the original. And somebody took a copy of the photo that was in the original record player and they kind of made a mock-up version of a Beatles record player from the 1960s. I had it restored and it's up for sale on my eBay store, I think at $499. No, I'm not going to play Go Now from Denny Lang.
Ah, you got the cord sticking out in the front.
Oh, you heard the cord.
Sticking out the front. Is that good there?
Nope, it's still sticking out.
That's a good song to make.
What's that?
Cord sticking out.
Cord sticking out? Doesn't want to stay in there. There we go. Alright, let's put that away. Talking about movies for a second before I get into my butcher cover. We changed the background here. We got the complete Beatles from 1981 or 82 that Paul McCartney bought all the rights to and really tough to get now.
Is this plugged in?
No, it's not plugged in.
Oh, I want to turn that up.
The strange thing about it, and the Red and Blue albums in the 1980s and some other Beatle albums had this insert advertising the complete Beatles, and now you can't even get it. It was mail order, that was for the book, $34.95, but it also promoted these. This is the beta version of the complete Beatles. Beta videotape. This is a VHS, and this is a sealed laser disc of the complete Beatles. I've had the, this is the video disc, my fault. The video disc had these hype stickers on it saying, this stereo video disc will play on any stereo or mono CED system. But I've had the sealed laser disc of it before too. But you can see the artwork's a little bit different than the poster. White, the Beatles are in white where they're on black and on the original poster. Other movies, we got a 1980s reissue of a Beatles Hard Day's Night when it was played in the movie theaters again, now in Dolby Stereo. Look how John Lennon looks pretty evil there in those pictures. When you say that he looks pretty evil, his eyes are pointing up, eyeballs are pointing up.
It looks like a zombie.
A zombie.
And it looks very shocked to realize that.
Other movies, I got a laser disc of The Wall by Roger Waters live in Berlin. That's what a laser disc looks like. You open it up and it looks like a big DVD. That was state of the art at that time. Now it can't match the Blu-rays or anything as far as quality. It was only...
That disc looks like a CD disc.
Yeah, well, it's a big one. That's why they were made. But, and we got a poster here for Backbeat from the early 1990s. It was a pretty good movie about Stu Sutcliffe and his relationship with John Lennon and Astrid Kushner. And they put most of the emphasis on these two main characters, where the other Beatles weren't the best the best actors representing the Beatles. They had a great band though: Greg Dooley, Don Fleming, Dave Grohl from Nirvana, Mike Mills for REM, Thurston Moore from not sure where he's from, and Dave Purnell from Soul Asylum. So it's a real nice soundtrack.
Brad Parnell's in here. He said you're running 3 seconds slower on my TV than on my computer, so that's why one's hooked up to wire, one's Wi-Fi, but it's just showing different. You know what I mean?
So how you doing, Brad Parnell? I saw you yesterday at the store. Asked you about you doing Go Now. You said it's on Facebook. Brad, look up Brad Parnell, and he's got a ukulele version of Go Now.
He said it was today.
Oh, I saw him today. Okay. If you want to see him do a version of Go Now, check it out. Talk about Beatles memorabilia again for a second. Sold this today. Then I'll talk about the butcher cover. This is a 1964 Flip Your Wig game, and one of the best two I've had in condition out of the probably 30 I've owned in the last 40 years. Somebody told me on eBay I was charging too much for this, over $200, and he offered me $175. I said that was way too low. He went back and forth. Finally, I had to explain to him it's all about condition. He just didn't get it.
Can't play that game.
Not this one. We'll play one that's in rougher shape. Got the original brochure in there. The game pieces have no creases or bends, and all 48 cards, yellow and red, are in excellent condition. Real tough to get them this set in this shape, and it's sold today for $229.
It's very tough to get it, and you only gonna sell it for $299.
It's not tough to get. It's tough to get with no corner splits, because these are real fragile. If you stored this in an attic or something, these would all be split.
But why don't you start selling?
So this game was never factory sealed in '64. The only thing that was sealed was this section right here with the cards and the game pieces and the dice. Perry Cox sold one that had the sealed section here 2 weeks ago for $250.
I would take the cards out, put that in, and then put the cards
Yeah,
back
it's
in.
not working.
Can I vote it?
Brad said I'll post a link on here after your live is over. I done quote a few Beatles songs.
All right. I asked Brad, who was the Beatle that really loved the ukulele, and he knew right away it was George Harrison.
I was gonna guess John Lennon.
You were gonna guess John Lennon.
Yeah, because you like him.
Let's put this Flip Your Way game away before I do any damage. It is already sold and going out Monday. You got to get your mail packages out Monday, Tuesday. The postman told me it's the last day that they guarantee you're going to get your packages before Christmas.
Oh, today was a mess. I mean, they had it wrapped around the whole counter going back. I'd never seen it that long, not even taxes.
Everybody's trying to beat the deadline.
Yeah, it was a mess today. I was in there almost 30 minutes, and I ain't ever been at that one that long.
The main post, my son, cameraman, goes to the main post office in Louisville at least 5 times a week. It saves 1 day in shipping time. My buyers usually get their packages within 3 days, but now it'll probably be 5 with the holiday rush. But when you send your packages to the main post office in town, it gets out of town a lot quicker. And you've seen the main post office, how big it is. There on Gardner Lane.
Yeah, he was in the car.
This is my little cake decoration piece I showed, I think, last time. Haven't sold it yet, but there's only very few of these that are in that kind of shape. Perfect shape with no wear, no dents, because that's a real fragile piece. It's up for sale on my STICKERMANIA 2853 store for $299.
I like it. I like my head.
A few more Beatles memorabilia, and then I'll get on to the butcher cover segment. We got the first Beatles memorabilia item made in the United Kingdom, 1963, the Beatles talc powder. And look how the Beatles, that's how it first started their logo, with like the antenna on the B. Real tough to get this, made in England with no hardly any wear, and this would dent real easy once the talcum powder was out of it. There's no dents on it at all.
This is STICKERMANIA.
Yeah.
I still want to know how you know all this stuff.
How do I know all this stuff? Well, I've been, like I told the guy, the back and forth messages the other day, I've been doing this for 45, 50 years. I was a collector for 30 years, then I've been on eBay for 17.
He studies his information. He looks up at everything you gotta do.
I study new listings 5 times a day. I study sold listings. I know the auctions that are going to go off the following day.
And
It takes a lot of research.
I want to know how you know all this stuff and now I remember all this stuff.
Because I do it every day, religiously.
Why does it feel like there's gum under the chair?
This is the backing card for the original harmonica. The harmonica is not here. I've sold it several times, but if you had this with the harmonica still attached, it'd be about a $1,500 piece. Got the sheet music for Little Child and Please Please Me inside. That's the original. They made a lot of reproductions in the early 70s, but that's a original 1964 backing card, which cost $298 with a harmonica. Perry Cox sold one of these the other day. This is in the header card with Ringo on top. All 4 Beatle photos and 2 group photos are inside here.
That's cool.
You like that? Alright, let's do the butcher cover. You guys like to talk about the butcher cover.
Speaking of butcher cover, can I go get a sip of water?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
This is the butcher cover I peeled, got in on Wednesday. Maybe it was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. And I peeled it that day on Thursday. Put it up for sale last night about 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it was sold this morning when I woke up. A near mint peel. I've only had 5 of these in my lifetime out of the 100 I've peeled. Sold for $2,777. No tears in the peel at all. It was already kind of, the one layer was peeled off when I bought it, and I could just tell that I could get the other layer off. And this is the scraps of the trunk slit that I peeled off. But that's pretty amazing right there. You can see the vertical glue lines right there. That's normal, and this one's a rare one where it's offset a little bit, and you can see some area under the John's bench. On the East Coast, you usually can't see any area under John's bench where he's sitting. And this one you see just a little slice. No seam splits. And it's a Scranton number 3, Scranton, Pennsylvania. They put the water-based glue on the butcher covers. We're out on Los Angeles. They put a much stronger glue that makes it really tough to peel them. But look at those faces that were buried for over 56, 57 years. those faces probably look more vibrant than if you had a first date. Because never been exposed to the environment until 2 days ago. Any questions on the butcher cover?
Yeah.
What's your question?
Why? Who took the photo of it?
Robert Freeman.
Or was he fired?
He wasn't fired.
Who's
John Lennon and Paul McCartney. It was an all-day thing, and the butcher cover photo was the last part of the photo session. Well, not all day, but several hours. It was supposed to only be a little section on a gatefold cover, but then once John Lennon saw and John and Paul saw the negatives, color negatives when they were doing the Paperback Rider Rain videos, they pushed to have this as the cover in the United States of yesterday and today. But they made 750,000 of them, and 700,000 of them were destroyed, and somewhere around 50 to 60,000 were pasted over. In Scranton and Los Angeles only. In Jacksonville, they destroyed them all except for a few. They get snuck out the back door.
Why? Why did they get snuck out the back door?
Because employees knew it was going to become a collector's item.
Why?
So they just kind of,
Why didn't they just keep it?
instead of destroying them, they said, I think this is going to be worth a lot of money someday. And of course they were right. There's people on Facebook Marketplace, when I put some pictures of a peeled butcher cover, are really getting on my case saying, why oh why you're destroying the way the cover originally was issued in the stores. And this is why it got banned. And the young crowd, the 25 to 44-year-olds that want to collect this album, this is the way they want to put it in a frame. They want to see that band cover. Alice Cooper before Alice Cooper.
All right, Sticker Kid. Brad Parnell's got a question for you. Where do snowmen keep their money? Where do snowmen keep their money?
And themselves.
Where do snowmen keep their money? What's the answer?
The magic something. Magic blanket, I think.
So you can see the
In a
difference.
snowbank.
Snowbank. That's a good one.
That
Way to go, Brad. So you can tell the difference of a cover that was hastily peeled through this area where there's all those tears and one that's perfect. So this is the one I'm going to give away at my live stream New Year's Eve, my birthday special, and I'll have a three-part. You have to answer all three-part questions about the butcher cover, and the first person that gets all three parts answered correctly will win this. John Marino won my butcher cover that I gave away several months ago. I saw him on George Borden's 24-hour live stream. He was on in the middle of the night.
I hope no one has ADHD.
All right, let's see. What we going to talk about next? Any questions we got going? Or you want me to just keep on talking? We got a couple more laser discs I forgot about. We got this Beatles first U.S. visit. I got a promo poster for that somewhere. It should be that one right behind you, right there. So we got the laser disc, and then this is the promo poster for the first visit. And the Beatles got off the plane in America February 7th, 1964. And they asked about John's bag. I think it's in the museum in Pete Best's Liverpool Museum. I think that's where it's at right now. And you can't see, but Pete, this is Phil Spector right behind Ringo Starr. He's coming out right after Ringo starred because he tagged along with the Beatles on the jet from London to New York City. So the Beatles were astonished when they came out that plane and they saw there were 3,000 girls and guys just waiting for them. But the truth, why a lot of there were 3,000, is Capitol Records had some buses that they advertised that the kids would go to the airport. They'd give them a box lunch, and I think it was $20 or something to be at the airport. So it was staged just a little bit, but the girls went crazy.
I think it was 30 years ago today.
Well, that was the poster said 30 years ago today, but it's going to be actually 60 coming up February. That poster is almost 30 years old.
February is my birthday month.
Yeah, when's your birthday?
Not telling the date.
You're not telling the date?
No,
Why?
because I don't want to.
All right.
But
2 days after Travis, after the cameraman.
But it is on Saturday.
It's on a Saturday. You already looked it up.
Great, I mean, mine's on Thursday, what fun.
I didn't bring all my autographs today. I only got the Abbey Road signed by Paul and Ringo in 2005. A big Paul McCartney autograph. And somebody else has a Abbey Road just signed by Paul McCartney with the COA up for $6,000 now. But on this one, you get both Paul and Ringo on the same album jacket for about the same amount, a little bit under $6,000. Got the COA from, that goes with the butcher cover. So we'll talk about that when we show that.
Where did that go? Oh,
Got the COA from Frank Casio, the Beatles expert for 35 years. He's pretty much retired now, but he authenticates as this was autographed in 2005 when Paul was on tour, and then Ringo signed shortly after that. And he hand signed the COA. And to really know that these are the deal, you have to have these hand signed COAs from Casio or Paul Wayne from England, a few of the PSA DNA guys from that appear on Pawn Stars. I got two from Frank Casio. One of them he blanked out, and then he's got another one. He hand signed both of them. All right,
Daniel Castillo's here. He said, are you familiar with the payola scandal?
Payola scandal of back in the 50s, yeah, where they were paying disc jockeys to play certain songs, and they got in trouble.
Oh, they were doing that back then too.
Yeah, that was back, but that was before the Beatles. If that's what he's talking about. There was a famous DJ that got in a lot of trouble for that. Maybe Daniel will know his name. He was taking money and playing certain songs to promote.
It continued in the 60s also, he said.
When the Beatles were around? Let's put this away. All right, the Beatles Christmas album.
Gary Tawal says, can you speak on the album Chipmunks Sing the Beatles? Who did the voices for all the songs?
We will listen to that.
Chipmunks Sing the Beatles. I've had that before on a sealed album. I can't answer that. It's not the Beatles sped up. It's I don't know who if it's the same voices that did the animated TV show or not. I don't really know. I've had a couple of Chipmunks albums over the time. That's about the one with the most value. Chipmunks Sing the Beatles.
Good question. You stumped him.
Yeah, it stumped me. I'm not the Chipmunks expert. I'm sorry. The Beatles Christmas album, original from 1970, where you can see Ringo's eyeballs down there in that bottom picture. And on the record, you have to have a small indentation. I see the counterfeits sell every day with a large indentation, and they sell for $100, but people aren't getting the real deal. And I do have my white cotton archive gloves on today instead of my black rubber gloves that viewer Adam said he was cringing when I handled the records with those.
So bye. You gonna say bye to everybody?
Bye.
No,
Say
you
thank
gotta
you.
go to the camera.
Yeah,
And tell them bye.
Say thanks. Say Merry Christmas.
I was trying to ask a question, but cameraman thought I wanted to leave. There was a little disc I have a question about.
Oh, you
What
got
is
a
it?
question? Well, good
Okay.
question.
What's your question?
How does it play music if there's nothing on it?
What are we talking about?
With,
The laser disc or the video disc?
yeah, this.
How does this play music?
Yeah.
That's a record.
How's it
It
play?
has grooves, and the needle plays it. The grooves. See how there's tracks on there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how. You've seen my Thorns turntable TD320 out there. But I always tell you, don't get around, don't stamp around and make the record skip. Be careful.
It ain't my fault my legs are heavy.
Tell everybody happy holidays.
Can I keep this?
I guess.
Happy holidays, I'm leaving early.
All right, give me some questions.
Kill me, boy. You kill me.
I don't know if I showed you the Tom Clay interview. This is a rare version. I've had the blue label from '64 many times. This is a '65 pressing that has additional interviews with the Beatles on the record. But it has the same fold-out picture sleeve, paper picture sleeve of Tom Clay hanging out with the Beatles. And Tom Clay's family is also, there's his family, and that's not his real autograph. That was on all the picture sleeves. Somebody tried to sell this on eBay and saying that was his original autograph, but that's just printed on the picture sleeve. IBBB, Tom Clay. We don't like them, we love them. That's up on my eBay store at $199.
So Brad Parnell answered the question about the chipmunks.
Uh-huh.
He said Ross Bagdasarian, aka Dave Seville.
David Seville.
What's his name? You pronounce that? Bagdasarian.
Ross Bagdasarian and Dave Seville sped up his own voice for all the Chipmunk records. All right, way to go, Brad Parnell. Is it a better idea to buy a UK BC13 or buy the HTM cuts individually? Well, all the BC13s were just whatever the UK had at the time, and they put the box sets together, so you never know what you're really going to get, but your better chances are getting an early 78 to 81 with Harry T. Moss recuts on a lot of the pressings, because the vinyl was more superior at that time, and you weren't getting close to the digital area. When you get into 84 and 85, the audiophile sound of the Beatle albums start to go down. But the 78, Tom Port from Better Records, he says he goes after the 78 to 80 dated BC13s, where they're dated on the bottom of the inner sleeve. He says they're the most superior audiophile stereo pressings of the Beatles in a box set. The Beatles BC13. Hope that answers that question pretty good. You get more out of the answer from me than you'll get from Mr. Port. But he's taught me a lot about Led Zeppelin 2s. He's taught me a lot about Sticky Fingers first pressings, a lot about Abbey Road, and a lot about the Beatles BC-13, which are what is the best audiophile stereo pressings that exist in the world. This is up from my eBay store. I've probably shown it. Several interested watchers. This will probably sell in the next 24 hours. A special limited edition yellow vinyl version of Tropical Island Hum, back with We All Stand Together. It's kind of like a Chipmunks record. It's Paul McCartney making a kid's record and a kid's video that was shown before his movie Give Regards to Broad Street in 1984. But this came out, I think, in 1991 or 2004. It's a special limited edition on yellow vinyl.
So Homer 360 wants to know, other than the UK BC-13, are there any other countries that stand out above the others for that box?
The Holland version from the 78 has supposedly the best sounding white album, but overall the British, the UK is a better all around audiophile box set. But the white album stands out on that one, and then a couple of the DMM cuts from Germany in the early 80s are pretty audiophile too, but the ones that have the most value are the UK 78 to 80. But I've had the Holland box set several times and they've sold for $600. I've had the Australian box set several times. There's a couple audiophile pressings on that one, especially Beatles for sale. Led Zeppelin, talk about Led Zeppelin. We've just been talking about Beatles. When they released Led Zeppelin Zosa in 1971, this is the way it originally came out, with the titles of the hype sticker on the front, with the 7208 catalog number. And then when the radio station started playing Stairway to Heaven like crazy, they put Stairway to Heaven hype sticker on the front and the title hype sticker on the back. So this was a later pressing after Stairway to Heaven was played every 15 minutes on the radio. Somebody asked about rock and roll music on my last live stream. I pulled it out of my storage unit. This is sealed with a saw cut of rock and roll music from 1973 with the hype sticker, the best of the Beatles rock and roll music. And there's George Martin remixes on most of these tracks, so they sound a little different than the original stereo versions. He tried to improve where the Beatles, where the vocals were more in the middle.
So Brad Parnell, have you seen someone put up a 4K restoration version of Rock Show on YouTube?
I have not seen that yet.
And then John Marino, he wants
John
to know,
Marino, the Butcher Cover Man.
what's the best sounding Abbey Road? Also the best sounding Sgt. Pepper's.
All right, here we go. Abbey Road. My opinion is the 1973 contract France pressing, when Abbey Road was closed for renovations in the early 70s, 1973, they sent all the master tapes to France, and they they brought the vocals up a little more. And if you've never heard the 1973 contract pressing of Abbey Road, you need to seek it out. I usually have to get mine from International. They usually cost $200 to $300, but it's an amazing sounding pressing of Abbey Road. I know everybody says the -2, -1 UK first press is the best, but I beg to differ. You need to hear the 1973 pressing France contract pressing when Abbey Road was closed for renovations. I even talked Tom Port from Better Records to buying a couple of those, and I think he was pretty satisfied with it.
And Sergeant Pepper's.
Sergeant Pepper. I've never had the Audio 5. I've had the Don Bartley in the dead wax on a 1985 Australian pressing. It was supposed to use the same mastering as the Audio 5, and it really sounded good. But the Nimbus Super Cut that I sold was sealed with Chad Kassem for over 20 years, and then I bought it from Chad Kassem, and I peeled a butcher cover, finished a butcher cover for him, and I had it for several months, and it sold for $7,000, but I was too frightened to open it up. I thought that would take the value down by half.
And then Daniel, Parlophone is not an audiophile label. Decca is so the Stones sound better. You know what I mean by that?
The Stones you want to hear on Decca from the 60s. That's when they were cut from the master tapes, and then after that the master tapes were sent throughout the world, and it's tough to get any pressings from the master tapes now, Rolling Stones albums. So you had to get the first pressings of the UK albums, the mono from England, to really hear the true rhythm and blues rock sound of the Rolling Stones. And then the Exile on Main Street was mixed in Los Angeles in '72, so the best sounding pressings of Exile on Main Street are the Monarch pressing from Los Angeles.
And then Homer 360 said, "This is great info, thank you." And then Daniel Castillo said, "Decca was a bigger label and had better studios to record."
Yeah, that's probably true. Abbey Road was kind of behind the times, 2-track, 4-track. Even the Beatles had to go to Olympic to finish Hey Jude and stuff because they had an 8-track before Abbey Road did. But then they did have the state-of-the-art system, 8-track, when they recorded Abbey Road. That's why Abbey Road sounds so much better than any other Beatles album, because they had better equipment to record it on.
And then John said, "Thank you, Mr. Stickermania. I actually took down notes on that info."
All right, John Marino. I saw John Marino in the middle of the night on Borden's 24-hour live stream. I only hung around for about a half hour. I think John Marino might have been on there an hour, but French, the vinyl addict, he was on there for almost the whole night, and then he commented in the morning he got 1.5 hours of sleep and he had to go to work. I couldn't do that. I'm too old to only have 1.5 hours sleep.
And then Daniel Castillo, Parlophone was a label for comedy records before the Beatles.
Yeah, George Martin did comedy albums with Peter Sellers and the Goon, I don't know if he called them the Goon Squad or what, but Peter Sellers and the, who was the guy who did piano that died? Was in the movie 10. He's a comedian, but he was with Peter Sellers on when he was recording for George Martin. Before George Martin tackled the Beatles, and then everything changed. Everything in music changed. Lots of stuff changed.
And then John said, "Yeah, that was me. Thanks for watching." And then Homer wants to know the best pressing of Sticky Fingers and Steel Wheels.
Steel Wheels, I can't answer. Sticky Fingers, I'm an expert on. Sticky Fingers, you want to get a USA, Monarch, or Presswell pressing from '71, or you want to get a Germany or UK first pressing that was cut a little differently by Doug Sachs. They're both both of them are pretty much tied as the best pressings, audiophile stereo pressings ever of Sticky Fingers. Tom Port taught me all that. And I've played him and he's right. The Wild Horses sounds amazing on those pressings. You can really
Great
hear.
questions, everybody. I
Yeah,
appreciate
good
it.
question. We got a lot of good questions. All right, I didn't talk about my ticket stubs last time. I keep forgetting to do it. Let's do that. Think of your questions to finish this out. We got programs from the Rolling Stones and the Beatles from 65 and 66 when they were on tour in the United States. First of all, you got a Rolling Stone, 1965, with a ticket stub to see them at the Cincinnati Gardens. Cincinnati Gardens. Only if I would have been a little older than 10 years old, I would have been close enough to go see them in concert. But at 10 years old, the closest I got to go see the Beatles was when I saw Andy Williams and Donny Osmond at the Indiana State Fair, September 4th, the day after the Beatles performed twice at the Indiana State Fair. My dad went the day before, and he wanted to see the Beatles, but they were scalping a $5 ticket for $100 outside the gates. That's how much the demand was for the sold-out show. $100 in 1964. Do the math. That'd be a fortune now. Then we got a 1966 from Philadelphia to see the Rolling Stones for $4 on July 12th at the Convention Hall in Philadelphia. And these tickets would say orchestra, so they must have been almost front row seats to see the Rolling Stones. And their shows in the 60s were just madness. They might have performed 9 or 10 songs, they might only perform 7, and if the audience went crazy, the police came out, they pulled the Stones off the stage, and it was over. The Beatles had more security, more police on duty. We got a 65 program. I don't have a ticket stub with that, but I do this, the big one here, 66. This program was actually held at Candlestick Park on the last show the Beatles ever performed before a paying audience. On August 29th, 1966. This is about to sell. There's a man that wants to buy this real bad, but he has to sell his Stephen King signed books, so he'll have the money to buy it for about $1,650. You got seats 1 and seats 2, consecutive seats, and they cost $650, which would have been as close as you could have got to the Beatles on that night, that last night that they performed live, and Paul McCartney was on fire. If you've ever heard the YouTube video of the Beatles in concert that last night, most of the vocals are from Paul McCartney because he knows it's his last time performing, and he loved performing so much, he gave it his all. It's in his soul to be a performer on stage, and that's still why he's still doing it. That is what I wanted to show, my tickets, my concert programs and tickets. I keep forgetting to show those. Hope you like that. Got a Rolling Stone, Sticky Fingers, what we're talking about that. 3 Rolling Stones on the show. This is the early 1980s Emotional Rescue with a poster sealed on the outside of the cover, and it has the rare hype sticker for She's So Cold and Emotional Rescue. This would have been before Steel Wheels. I think I saw them on the Steel Wheels tour. And then what was the name of the tour?
Voodoo Lounge.
Voodoo Lounge.
I like that one.
At Cincinnati Riverfront Coliseum.
Yeah, we got to be on the field. That was awesome. Being on the Reds field as a Reds fan.
So we went to the show. It was raining, and everybody was saying, "Oh, this is gonna not be so good." And then when the Rolling Stones came out and did Jumpin' Jack Flash, everybody was into it. Kind of like when I saw Guns N' Roses at Dayton Hare Arena in the early 1980s, and Axl Rose was having a fit backstage and didn't want to go on. And it got to be midnight, 12:30, and everybody in the audience was yelling, "I want my money back, I want my money back, this is ridiculous." And then Axl Rose, they finally talked to him to coming out. They started with "Welcome to the Jungle." Nobody asked for their money back. That's all I can say about that show. They were on. I saw Guns N' Roses open up for Aerosmith once at River Bend in Cincinnati also. We got a Sticky Fingers. This is a original 71 first pressing. You can tell by the printing on both sides. Let's see what pressing this one is. This is a PR Presswell pressing. One of the best pressings, cut from the fresh made master tapes. What are we at on time?
Man, 11:57. So.
All right, we're gonna wrap this up in a couple minutes. See if there's anything else I missed. I think I talked about most of the big stuff. Got this in the other day from another album that was in rough shape, but I bought it for the photo. And then I'm putting it with a real nice textured cover. So these are both 64 first pressings of the Rolling Stones' first album released in America. In excellent condition. You have to have both textured. If they're smooth, they're a later pressing. This is a real deal. Mono, textured on the red mono record. These were cut from Decca in England and imported over, so they really sound good. And then after that, the London records were pressed from copies of the UK master tapes, and they weren't as good, but this is one that's right up there with the Rolling Stones audiophile pressing. This is a good one. And that's a real nice textured bonus photo. That's most of my Rolling Stones. Talked about little Led Zeppelin, talked about the movies, talked about the BC-13 coming in, Santa, we talked about a little bit, Old Mellow. We like one more thing. I bought in the Great Indie Rock and Roll Auction, I bought this from my buddy, Kevin Records here in Louisville. And it had, and then I started getting messages that somebody wanted me to sell it on my STICKERMANIA 2853 store. So I made a deal with Kevin today, and I got back my signed Donovan Mellow Yellow Mono album from 1967. One more trivia question tonight. Who is in the background of the song Mellow Yellow, hoopering and hollering through the last 2 minutes of the song? Who's the first person going to give me the answer to that trivia question? You don't win nothing, but I want to see who gets it.
Brad says Paul.
It is Paul McCartney. Way to go, Brad. You were quick. I love it when Paul's hooping and hollering in the back of that song. You need to listen to Mellow Yellow. Supposedly it's about the banana peel, how you can get a buzz off of a banana peel. In the mid-60s, they were trying to figure out all kinds of ways of getting high. So that's my original signed Donovan album that I'm going to put up on my eBay store. I have a buyer that's interested in it at $80. That's kind of a risque cover. All right, thanks for all the questions. I hope I enlightened you to a few facts that you guys want to know. And until the next time, I have a lot of
John
things.
said, thanks for sharing. Always great records and information.
Who said that?
John Marino.
All right. Way to go, John. I know what you look like now. I saw you on the Borden live stream. See you later from Louisville, Kentucky.